A Tale of Heroism, The Last Librarian. Ivana, with her leather jacket and streaked hair, dashes through a hidden passage in a forgotten old library. The world around her has crumbled under the weight of a catastrophic plague, reshaping society into a desolate landscape where knowledge is the rarest and most dangerous commodity. Ivana's boots pound against the debris-strewn floor as she navigates the maze-like aisles. Once a librarian, she's now a renegade rocker and the custodian of forbidden knowledge. Her backpack, heavy with the weight of 3 precious books, thumps against her back. Behind her, the crash of breaking glass and the heavy thud of boots signal the arrival of the enforcers, merciless agents of the tyrannical ruler, who has vowed to eradicate all remnants of the old world's wisdom. Their leader, a cruel commander draped in a black uniform, orchestrates the raid with ruthless efficiency. "Search everywhere. She can't have gone far," he barks into the radio. As Ivana peeks from behind a decaying bookshelf, the city outside unfolds in a panorama of terror. The central square hosts a chilling display, the decapitated heads of those caught with books, mounted on pikes as grim deterrents. The message is clear. Possession of literature is punishable by death. With her heart racing, Ivana calculates her next move. The exit is just feet away, but so are the enforcers, making a split-second decision. She hurtles towards the door. Just as she reaches the threshold, a shout erupts behind her. "There she is! Stop her!" The chase intensifies, propelling Ivana into the perilous streets of the city where each shadow might harbor an enemy or an ally. This is her life now, on the run but for what she believes in. As Ivana bursts from the hidden library's confines, the stark light of a grim dawn cuts across the shattered cityscape. Each breath is labored, each stride desperate. The streets, lined with debris and the remnants of a world now lost, offer scant cover from the ever-vigilant enforcers. Turning sharply into a narrow alley, Ivana's boots kick up dust. The enforcers, relentless soldiers of the Overlord, pursue on foot, their heavy boots thundering against the cracked pavement. Their leader, a grizzled sergeant with a scarred face, shouts, driving his men forward like hounds on the scent. Ivana's mind races as quickly as her feet. She knows the alleys and backways of this city as well as anyone. Darting behind a dilapidated building, she pauses, catching her breath, listening for the approaching troops. Her eyes spot an old, overturned truck. Ivana seizes her chance. With a grunt, she pushes against the rusted hulk, sending it crashing down into the alleyway. The loud clang of metal on concrete draws the enforcers away, their attention diverted just long enough for Ivana to make her move. She sprints in the opposite direction, her heart pounding in her chest. The enforcers, realizing the ruse, turn back with curses and shouts, scrambling to catch up. The city's outskirts beckon, a tangled network of old roads and forgotten pathways. Ivana pushes her tired limbs to their limits. As she nears a narrow bridge, the enforcers closing in. Below, a swift-moving river promises a risky but necessary escape. With the shouts of her pursuers almost upon her, Ivana climbs onto the bridge's railing. She looks back once, eyes meeting those of the sergeant. She smirks at him with a playful grin and dives in. The cold river engulfs her, swallowing the sounds of the city and her chase. Ivana fights through the shock of the icy water as the river's current takes her drifting downstream, away from the clutches of the Overlord's men. She clings to the precious books strapped to her back. They are the last flames of a world that burned too brightly and too briefly. After her daring escape, Ivana finds temporary safety in an abandoned farmhouse on the outskirts of the city. As she recovers from her ordeal, the need to disseminate the knowledge stored within the books she carries weighs heavily on her. To do this, she must gather a team, each member bringing their own unique skills and experiences to the cause. First, Ivana seeks out Dr. Elias Miles, a former university professor renowned for his lectures on critical thinking and philosophy. Since the fall, he has been hiding in plain sight, masquerading as a simple tradesman. Ivana finds him in a market, bartering over mechanical parts. Next, she recruits Mara Sinclair, a defected enforcer sergeant who brings tactical prowess and inside knowledge of the Overlord's operations. Mara's disillusionment with the regime grew after witnessing countless injustices and brutality. Lastly, Ivana adds Theo, a young and brilliant mechanic who dreams of engineering schools that no longer exist. Theo has been scavenging old tech and repurposing it to help the local communities evade the Overlord's surveillance and control. In the dim light of the farmhouse, the group gathers around an old wooden table littered with maps and homemade gadgets. Ivana lays out the stolen books, their pages worn. She shares her vision to create a network of hidden libraries and education hubs, restoring knowledge and hope to the oppressed populace. As they plan, each member shares their story, weaving their personal losses and hopes into the mission. Elias speaks of his silent students, Mara of a brother lost to the regime's purges, and Theo of a childhood filled with books and dreams, abruptly ended. They plan to use the city's old sewer systems to move around undetected, set up secret meeting spots, and establish coded communication methods. Mara proposes diversion tactics that once served the regime but could now serve their rebellion. With her team assembled, Ivana shifts from planning to action. Their first major operation targets the Overlord's archive, a heavily guarded compound where confiscated books and artifacts are stored before being destroyed. Under the cover of night, the team gathers at their hidden base, reviewing the final details of their plan. Ivana, draped in a dark cloak, marks the entry and exit points on the map. Mara checks the ammunition and supplies, ensuring each member is equipped for close combat. Theo tinkers with a homemade EMP device. Utilizing the city's old sewer systems, the team navigates beneath the streets, emerging near the rear of the archive. Theo sets up the EMP, and with a soft thud, the cameras flicker out. They have minutes at most before the guards realize something is wrong. Slipping through the shadows, Ivana leads the group inside. The halls are lined with shelves piled high with books and relics of the old world, the site of so much hoarded knowledge, much of it destined for destruction. It made their hearts ache. As they begin to transfer selected texts to their bags, the sound of boots echoed down the corridor. Mara signals silently with the wave of her hand. The team readies for a fight. A tense showdown ensues. Mara's familiarity with enforcer tactics gives them the upper hand, and they manage to subdue the guards without too much noise. Alarms sound, marking their departure. As they navigate the labyrinthine corridors of the compound, Theo deploys the first smoke bomb, enveloping the hallway in a thick, disorienting fog. The enforcer's coughs and shouts echo through the smoke, creating a cacophony of confusion. Ivana leads, her familiarity with the layout guiding them toward an exit. Bursting through a side door, the team runs headlong into a lone guard protecting the ascending stairwell. Without hesitation, Mara charges forward, her shoulder connecting with his midsection. The guard topples over the railing and falls with a thud to the floor below, momentarily stunned but alive. As they reach the main courtyard, a set of guards notice their silhouettes through the haze. With a swift motion, the guards unleash a trio of snarling dogs. The team sprints across the open space, the sounds of barking close behind. Elias, ever resourceful, pulls a string of jerky from his pocket and starts tossing pieces behind them. The dogs skid to a halt to snatch up the treats. Ivana laughs mockingly at the dogs as she realizes it allows the team to gain distance. Continuing their escape, Ivana spots a narrow passage obscured by overgrown vegetation. The team ducks into the passage, their passage hidden by the smoke still billowing from behind them. Theo, carrying the last smoke bomb, waits until the last second before throwing it behind them, ensuring a veil of smoke seals their exit. Emerging from the compound, they find themselves at the edge of a steep embankment leading to the river. With the enforcers and now regrouped dogs close behind, the team takes a collective breath and leaps down the embankment, sliding and tumbling toward the water. The river, swollen from recent rains, offers a fast current that they use to their advantage, swimming downstream away from the compound. As they pull themselves from the river, they turn back to see the outline of the compound in the distance, now quiet. Mara pulls out a compact binocular and scans the area. No sign of pursuit for now. The team, wet and exhausted, after the heart-pounding escape from the Overlord's archive, Ivana and her team make their way to the relative safety of the city's ancient sewer system. Their inflated spirits burst when Ivana stops dead in her tracks. Around the corner, a group of the Overlord's guards, weapons drawn. It's an ambush. The betrayal cuts deep. Among the guards stands one of her own recruits, someone she had trusted implicitly. The traitor, avoiding Ivana's stunned gaze, steps forward. "I'm sorry, Ivana. They have my family," he confesses, his voice a mixture of regret and resignation. The team's initial shock quickly turns to anger, but Ivana silences any outbursts with a raised hand. She understands the stakes, but also knows that blame will not save them now. With the guards advancing, Ivana's mind races. She recalls an old, mostly forgotten maintenance manual of the sewer system she had once read back in her librarian days. She runs and screams, "Follow me." To her team, they retreat to a nearby junction. As the guards follow, Ivana locates an old, rusted valve. With a concerted effort, she and Theo turn the valve, unleashing a torrent of water stored from the recent rains. The sudden rush of water floods the tunnel, startling the guards, forcing them to retreat or be swept away. Seizing the moment, Ivana leads her team up a nearby ladder, emerging from a manhole cover, just as the first light of dawn touches the city's broken skyline. They replace the cover just in time, with the sound of water roaring through the tunnels below. Catching her breath, Ivana looks to her remaining team members, their wet faces reflecting a mix of relief and newfound wariness. "Let's move. We have the books, and we have a mission," she states, as Ivana finds a spot atop a quiet rooftop overlooking the city. The stolen books lying beside her, their covers worn, but their pages still brimming with forbidden knowledge. She allows herself a moment of reflection, her thoughts weaving through the past and reaching toward the uncertain future. Her mission will continue, expanding to other cities, reaching more people. Each hidden library, each book saved from destruction, adds to the tapestry of a future renaissance. The road ahead is long and fraught with challenges, but the potential for transformation is limitless. As the sun climbs higher, B.N.Rocker stands. She descends from the rooftop, ready to meet her team, to plan their next move. The fight for freedom, for knowledge, is far from over, but each victory, each reclaimed piece of the past, brings them closer to a brighter tomorrow. This is not goodbye, nor the end. Until the story continues, my friends. B.N.Rocker.